47 years ago, humanity launched a message into the void. A golden record carrying our hopes, our dreams, our desperate plea to not be alone in this cosmic darkness. Voyager 1 was supposed to be a simple mission: study Jupiter, Saturn, then drift silently into interstellar space forever. But something went wrong. 3 months ago, Voyager 1 did something that defied every law of physics we understand. It turned around. A spacecraft with no fuel, no navigational control, operating on the power equivalent of a refrigerator light bulb, somehow reversed its trajectory after decades of flight. What NASA discovered in those final transmissions didn't just challenge our understanding of space. It challenged our understanding of reality itself, and they've been hiding it from us. It was 3:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time when the impossible happened. Dr. Sarah Chen was alone in NASA's Deep Space Network control room, monitoring routine telemetry from humanity's most distant messenger. For 47 years, Voyager 1 had been traveling in a perfectly predictable trajectory, moving away from our solar system at 38,000 miles per hour. The laws of physics demanded it continue that path forever. But the numbers on her screen were wrong, catastrophically wrong. Voyager 1 had changed course, not by degrees, not gradually. The spacecraft had executed a precise 90-degree turn in deep space, somehow reversing its momentum without any fuel, without any thruster capability, without any possible explanation that fit our understanding of reality. Chen's hands trembled as she ran the calculations again and again. Each time, the impossible result stared back at her. A spacecraft operating on 14 watts of power, less than a household light bulb, had somehow performed a maneuver that would require the energy output of a small nuclear reactor. Within minutes, emergency protocols activated. Senior NASA officials were pulled from their beds. The Pentagon was notified. By dawn, a classified task force had assembled, and Dr. Chen was sworn to secrecy under the National Security Act. But the real terror wasn't the impossible physics. It was the timing, because deep in the classified files that only 12 people on Earth had clearance to read, there was a prediction. A warning written by Carl Sagan himself before his death. If Voyager ever changes course, it means something out there wants us to know it's watching. The communication delay meant they had to wait 22 agonizing hours for confirmation. But the course change was only the beginning, because when they finally re-established contact, Voyager wasn't just sending back data, it was sending back a warning. The first transmission arrived at 11:23 p.m., exactly 22 hours and 14 minutes after Voyager's impossible turn. What came through the Deep Space Network wasn't the familiar stream of scientific data they'd been receiving for decades. It was something else entirely. Dr. Marcus Webb, NASA's lead cryptographer, stared at the patterns flooding his monitors. The signal contained mathematical sequences that shouldn't exist. Complex equations describing the curvature of space-time itself, written in a language that seemed to blend human mathematics with something far more advanced. The numbers were describing dimensional structures that theoretical physicists had only dreamed about in classified papers. But Voyager 1 was built in 1977. Its computers were less powerful than a pocket calculator. There was no way it could detect, process, or transmit data about higher dimensional space. Yet here it was, sending back measurements of cosmic geometries that our most advanced satellites couldn't detect. The transmission lasted exactly 47 minutes. Then, silence. Within hours, something even more disturbing emerged. The mathematical patterns in Voyager's signal perfectly matched theoretical models that had been developed in secret Pentagon laboratories, models for detecting artificial structures in deep space, models that suggested someone or something was using technology beyond human comprehension to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. But the timing was no coincidence. The moment Voyager's transmission stopped, seismic sensors around the world began detecting anomalous vibrations, not earthquakes, something else. Rhythmic pulses emanating from deep beneath the Earth's surface, as if the planet itself was responding to a signal from space. The math was impossible. The readings were impossible. But most terrifying of all, the location Voyager was describing, It wasn't empty space. Something massive was hiding in the cosmic void, and it had been watching us all along. The classified analysis took 72 hours. When the results came back, 3 senior NASA officials immediately requested transfers to other departments. What Voyager had found defied everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. Hidden in the void between star systems, camouflaged by technology that bent light around it like a cosmic mirage, was a structure. Massive doesn't begin to describe it. The object was larger than Earth's moon, perfectly spherical, and composed of materials that didn't appear on any periodic table. Its surface temperature was absolute zero, making it invisible to infrared detection. It had been hiding in plain sight for millennia. But this wasn't some ancient relic drifting through space. The structure was active, operational. Its energy readings suggested technology so advanced that our most sophisticated satellites looked like stone tools in comparison. Deep, penetrating, scans revealed vast chambers, complex geometric patterns, and what appeared to be massive arrays pointed directly at our solar system. Pentagon analysts worked around the clock to understand the implications. This object had been positioned with surgical precision in the one location where it could observe every planet in our solar system simultaneously. It had been watching us, studying us, recording everything. Carbon dating of the materials, extrapolated from Voyager's spectral analysis, revealed something that made the blood run cold in every scientist who saw the data. This observatory predated human civilization by at least 50,000 years. It was already here, already watching when our ancestors were still learning to control fire. The military implications were immediate. Joint Pentagon-NASA task forces were established within hours. Emergency protocols that had been theoretical for decades were suddenly very real. But as teams of physicists studied the structure's scanning patterns, they discovered something that made every government official who read the report go white with terror. It was counting down. The pattern emerged after weeks of analysis. Hidden within the observatory's scanning frequencies was a mathematical sequence so precise, so deliberate, that it could only be intentional. A countdown. But this wasn't measuring time in seconds or minutes. It was measuring human progress. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the Pentagon's lead xenolinguist, made the connection that changed everything. The countdown had begun on October 4, 1957, the exact moment Sputnik 1 achieved orbit. The sequence accelerated on July 16, 1945, when we detonated our first nuclear weapon. It pulsed faster when we landed on the moon, when we launched the internet, when we decoded the human genome. Every major technological breakthrough in human history was being tracked, measured, and recorded by this ancient sentinel. We weren't just being watched. We were being evaluated. Classified documents revealed that world governments had been quietly preparing for something they called Contact Day Zero for months. Emergency bunkers were constructed. Communication protocols were established. Military leaders who had never believed in extraterrestrial life were suddenly taking crash courses in xenobiology. The countdown was accelerating. Recent breakthroughs in artificial intelligence and quantum computing had caused the mathematical sequence to pulse at unprecedented frequencies. Whatever criteria this ancient civilization was using to judge us, we were approaching their threshold at an alarming rate. But the most disturbing revelation came from archived UFO reports dating back decades. Every major sighting, every unexplained aerial phenomenon, every government cover-up suddenly made sense. They weren't random visits. They were inspections. Progress reports. The Watchers had been walking among us, studying our behavior, our treatment of our planet, our capacity for both creation and destruction. The countdown was reaching its final phase. Cryptographers worked desperately to decode the remaining sequences, racing against a timeline they didn't fully understand. But when they finally decoded the full message, they discovered something that changed everything. This wasn't a countdown to invasion. It was a countdown to judgment. The truth was more terrifying than invasion. We were part of an ancient protocol, a test that had been administered to countless civilizations across the galaxy for millions of years. Earth wasn't unique. We were simply the latest species to reach the threshold where our technology could either elevate us to cosmic citizenship or destroy us entirely. Leaked documents from the Joint Task Force revealed the scope of this galactic evaluation system. The Watchers weren't conquerors. They were guardians of a cosmic community that spanned thousands of star systems. But membership wasn't automatic. Every emerging civilization had to prove their worthiness through a trial that measured not just their technological advancement, but their wisdom, their compassion, their ability to transcend the destructive impulses that technology could amplify. We were failing. The recent surge in climate disasters, the increasing frequency of technological failures, the growing political instability across the globe, none of it was random. These were accelerated testing conditions, designed to reveal humanity's true nature under pressure. How would we respond when our survival was threatened? Would we unite or fragment? Would we protect the weak or abandon them? Would we choose cooperation or competition? Other civilizations had faced this same test. Deep space archaeology had found the remains of worlds that chose poorly. Planets stripped bare by species that couldn't control their destructive impulses. Solar systems that went silent when civilizations turned their advanced weapons on themselves. The cosmic graveyard was vast, and the Watchers had witnessed it all. But there was hope. Successful species existed. Civilizations that had passed the test and joined the galactic community, sharing knowledge and resources across impossible distances. They had learned to balance power with responsibility, progress with preservation. Time was running out. The test was nearly complete. But there was one final revelation in Voyager's last transmission that offered either our greatest hope or our final warning. Voyager's final transmission lasted exactly 11 minutes and 47 seconds. What it contained would determine the fate of human civilization. The message was clear. Humanity had one final opportunity to demonstrate our worthiness, but the decision couldn't come from governments or leaders or institutions. It had to emerge from our collective consciousness as a species. Every human being on Earth would need to make the same choice simultaneously within a precise 72-hour window. The choice was deceptively simple. Continue on our current path of technological advancement without wisdom, prioritizing individual gain over collective survival, and face the consequences alone. Or choose a different direction. Choose cooperation over competition. Choose preservation over profit. Choose unity over division. But here was the catch. The choice had to be genuine. It couldn't be forced or mandated. It had to come from genuine human evolution, a species-wide recognition that our survival depended on transcending our most destructive impulses. The Watchers could detect the difference between authentic transformation and mere performance. World leaders finally understood why they'd been secretly implementing global cooperation initiatives for months. Climate accords, international space programs, unified response protocols, all of it had been preparation for this moment. But the real work couldn't be done in government buildings or corporate boardrooms. It had to happen in the hearts and minds of 7 billion individual human beings. The window was closing. Astronomical observatories around the world detected increasing activity from the hidden observatory. Energy readings suggested it was preparing for one of two protocols: integration or sterilization, welcoming humanity into the cosmic community, or ensuring we couldn't threaten other civilizations with our destructive potential. As Voyager's signal grew weaker, its final data packet contained coordinates. Not to the observatory, not to distant worlds, to locations on Earth where the choice would be made. The choice is ours. But as Voyager's final signal faded into cosmic silence, one question remained. Are we already too late? Voyager 1 continues its impossible journey through interstellar space, carrying humanity's greatest secret. Every day, radio telescopes around the world listen for its signal, hoping for another message, another clue, another chance. But perhaps the real question isn't what Voyager discovered out there in the cosmic dark. Perhaps the question is what it discovered about us. Because somewhere in the space between the stars, ancient eyes are watching, waiting, judging. The countdown continues. The test remains incomplete, and our answer will determine whether humanity joins the cosmic community or becomes another cautionary tale whispered among the stars. What do you think humanity's choice should be? Because like it or not, that choice is coming.